Good afternoon, Robert Scribbler with the OBX Wave Report, recording here from Jeanette's Pier once again. Nice, relaxing recharge day for me as we get some tiny waves coming in off the North Atlantic. We call this maybe 4 inches to 1 foot. But looking at the sand here, things are kind of looking pretty good. I mean, the sandbar here is regenerating pretty nicely, at least the nearshore bar. With so many good swells recently, it's nice to see some sandbar regeneration in some locations. We're going to need that, especially as we look forward to possibly very active hurricane season this summertime. But up and down the Outer Banks today on the east-facing beaches, very similar, 0 to 1 foot, regardless of location. Smaller to the north, slightly larger to the south, and slightly building as we get later into the afternoon. But nothing great to write home about. If you're looking for larger surf, you're going to have to trade large for choppy if you're going to make that Frisco disco down south for some 2 to 3 foot waves. Okay, so let's look at the observations provided by the wave monitors, the buoy data from the National Weather Service, and spot observations by yours truly here, me, myself and I, Robert Scribbler. Okay, right now at Nag's Head, as you can see, Lake Atlantic, 0 to 1 foot and clean east-northeast swell coming in. Wow, 0.3 foot in 13 seconds. At least we have a 13-second period on that 0.3 foot swell. West-southwesterly winds right now at 14 miles per hour. Air temperatures around 60. Very beautiful day, as you can see. Gorgeous day here in the Outer Banks. Beautiful day to take a nice walk on the beach. Ocean water temperatures up here in Nag's Head, 51 degrees. And we had a low tide between 11 and 12. We're just off of a low tide now between 11 and 12 noon. And looking forward to a high tide between 5 and 6 p.m. for the east-facing beaches. Down at Meridian, it'd be a little bit better, but still in the 0 to 1 foot range and clean. For the northeast swell at 0.8 foot and 7 seconds, west-southwest winds at 17 miles per hour. Some higher gusts, windier down there in Meridian. 52 degree air temperature, so a bit cooler. Ocean water temperatures a bit warmer, 55. And at Buxton, also 0 to 1 foot and clean, with a swell out of the east at 0.8 foot and 9 seconds. West southwesterly winds at 19 with some higher gusts. Air temperatures around 60 degrees. Ocean water temperatures at 58. And at Frisco, once again, 2 to 3 foot and choppy, with 60 degree ocean water temperatures and air temperatures about the same. Let's look at our forecast. Forecast is getting pretty interesting for coming days. We're looking forward to a massive, powerful storm system affecting the U.S. East Coast and the maritime regions for Saturday, Sunday, possibly affects some lingering into Monday. But for today, we've got this big calm before the storm. Mostly flat conditions for the ocean, 0 to 1 foot waves on the east-facing beaches, with a slight swell build toward evening. West-southwest winds at 10 to 24 miles per hour. For the south-facing beaches near Frisco, 2 to 3 foot. We've got a high near 60 and gorgeous sunny conditions today. For tomorrow, we get a wind shift to the north-northeast, and we're going to get more easterly winds over the next 4 days. Thursday will be the start of it, with north-northeasterly winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Highs much colder on Thursday. We've got temperatures reaching near the 50 degree mark, mostly in the 40s throughout the day. And still sunny conditions, but we got a storm system building to our south and west, gathering energy along the Gulf of Mexico, linking in cold and warm air, and looks like this thing is going to be kind of a brute. On Friday, we begin to feel effects of that system as we get some east-southeasterly winds starting out at 20 to 30 miles per hour, but building through evening time. 2 to 4 foot waves up and down the east-facing beaches with that easterly flow from the southeast. 1 to 3 foot and choppy for the east-facing beaches on Friday, with the waves building throughout the day. Also clouds, those cloud banks building up throughout the day on Friday as well, and we're looking at the likelihood of rain later. In the nighttime on Friday, winds are going to really pick up, so that by Saturday morning, we're seeing southeasterly winds blowing at strong gale force, 30 to 40 mile per hour sustained winds by morning, with higher gusts on Saturday. Surf building to 7 to 12 foot during the morning till around the noon hour on Saturday. And the Saturday forecast, we're going to go a bit more into detail, because as that storm system heads offshore, we're going to get this brief period, this brief window of potentially clean surf as the wind shifts to the west at 10 to 20 miles per hour from the time frame of noon to 4. So what's going to happen with those westerly winds at 10 to 20 from noon to 4 is we're going to have a massive swell built up by that gale, and we're going to get that westerly wind pushing into that swell, which will likely clean it up a bit. So we're looking at 4 to 9 foot clean surf on Saturday from noon until 4 in the current forecast. And this is going to happen because that storm system is going to move offshore. The counterclockwise circulation around the low will bring westerly winds in behind it and a bit of a lull. This lull is not going to last very long, because those westerly winds are going to swiftly shift back to the north and then to the northeast after around the 4 o'clock hour on Saturday. So that in the evening time on Saturday and through midnight, we're going to get north-northwesterly winds at 12 to 30 miles per hour. And then as we get into Sunday, those winds are going to pick up once again from the northeast and give us some powerful waves, probably in the 6 to 12 foot range as well. Choppy conditions with strong northeasterly winds, 25 to 35 mile per hour sustained, and then higher gusts on Sunday. So an interesting forecast for the weekend. Also worth noting that with that rain starting late on Friday, we're going to have rain to possibly heavy rain off and on throughout the day on Saturday, with the effects of that low pressure system as it first generates those gale force winds coming from the southeast and then heads offshore, throwing back some rainy conditions behind it. All right, so very interesting storm forecast for this weekend. It's worth noting that we should throw in a grain of salt with this forecast for now, because depending on that location of the low and its track and the location of the predicted trough that's expected to form off the East Coast with multiple lows embedded in it, from noon Saturday on through Sunday, forecast will be subject to change. But for now, it looks like we might have a big clean wave window on Saturday. We're going to have to see if that emerges, and if it does, we might have some epic conditions here for some advanced surfers here in the Outer Banks. We're just going to have to keep an eye on it, see how things develop. I'm going to be here on the beaches providing the updates for you. Okay, so thank Thanks for joining me for a pretty long session of the OBX wave report. Hopefully you guys have gotten some good information that will help you plan your surf trips over the coming days. One thing that will be said, one thing that can be said is that on the backside of that storm, which will head out into the North Atlantic and become a powerful low pressure system in the North Atlantic and likely generate some fetch for us throughout the week as we get into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. We're also likely looking at some favorable conditions for good surf in the wake of this powerful storm system. Okay, guys. So that's the lowdown. Hopefully I've given it to you well. Hopefully I've given you good information to plan your potential surf trips. If I do get out into the water on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, we will be setting up the GoPro and hopefully we'll get some good footage for you guys. All right, so thanks for joining me once again for an extended, in-depth storm session of the OBX Wave Report as we watch the calm before the storm here in the Outer Banks. And as I always do, I'd like to ask you guys to please do everything you can to help protect our coastlines from the impacts of climate change driven by fossil fuel burning. Those impacts being rising sea levels, more intense storms, ocean heat waves, and ocean acidification. The primary solutions to the climate crisis being the rapid deployment of clean energy, and the rapidly deployable forms of clean energy that we do have available are wind, water, solar, electric vehicles, and the battery systems that enable both electric vehicles and the storage of the clean energy. Also very helpful are the electrolyzers, which allow us to turn electricity into liquid fuels, which then are fungible and usable as sources of clean energy for things like shipping, aircraft, and other forms of combustion-based transportation and power generation technology. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me once again. It's a beautiful day. Hope you get out and enjoy it, despite the fact that the waves are super small. And once again, I'll be back with you shortly.